Well, I think the story that needs to be told is the tri-mill bike, that really nobody knows about. In 1976, I rode a prototype bike, race bike at the 24-hour Nelson Ledges with Greg Cox. And the bike was kind of revolutionary. It had a shorter front end, stiffer front end and monoshock. In 76, they really didn't have monoshock. So Greg and I rode it, but the engine was a bit too low on, well, quite a bit too low on it, and it ended up dragging the crankcases on the clutch side and actually wearing down right into the block. So it developed an oil leak about halfway through the race, and we were in contention for the win, but we couldn't continue, so we're out. Virtually we couldn't repair it. One of the sponsors at the time was RC Engineering, Russ Collins, in California. I worked with them trying to develop the pistons and getting the parts and cams, and they were supplying us with cams and racing stuff for the bikes, and they're a great sponsor. Russ Collins was a revolutionary guy in high performance. So I ended up going back to California with the bike and working on a project to build 2 more of them for LeMans France. So I spent 3 months in Long Beach, California at this company called Tri-Mill, who made dune buggy exhaust systems, and had quite a bit of facility for manufacturing and stuff like that. So I worked there to redesign the bike and make the weld fixtures to weld it, and then build some prototypes and final bikes to go to LeMans France. We redesigned it. We did a bent backbone on it, a 4-inch backbone, and redesigned some of the dimensions, raised the motor. It was a monoshock, which at the time wasn't, nobody was using a monoshock. Did some adjustments in all the fairings and gas tank and stuff like that, and ended up building 2 bikes, 2 rolling chassis that used Kawasaki motors at the time, and shipped them back to Ohio, where the Lester Wheel crew built 2 bikes to go to LeMans France with lights and everything on them, and race bikes and high performance motors and all that stuff. And I went back to Ohio and rode the bikes and developed them on the street a little bit, and ended up shipping the 2 bikes to France with 8 members of the crew. But it turns out when we get to France, the big truck that we were supposed to get turned out to be a Volkswagen microbus or something. It was enough for the crew and some of the spares. So we ended up having to ride the bikes, because the bikes wouldn't fit in the bus. Ride the bikes from Charles de Gaulle Airport to LeMans France. So I was already set up as a rider and stuff like that. I had all of my helmet and that. But fortunately, we had licensed the bikes before we left the States, because I was riding them on the street. So they were licensed and stuff, and it made them easy to get into the country. And when we pulled them out of that took them from the airport, they were, open exhaust and slicks, but they had lights and all the, stuff that we needed to ride on the street. So anyways, we ended up doing a bit of a wrong turn, because we really didn't know where we were going, and ended up riding right through Paris, France, with these race bike open exhaust. We had all kinds of people going, "Hey, Viva, America," and stuff like that, because the bikes were real pretty. They had all red, white, and blue, and kind of loud too, back in the day. So that was a pretty exciting ride for me. Although, we did take it easy, but still riding the French countryside on these two bikes. we got to the track, and we had some French riders. I was the only American rider. The French rider started the race, and we had kind of piston trouble, you know, because we had to use these special pistons because we had to downsize the bikes, you know. The pistons that we were usually using were 1015 cc, and the bikes had to be 999 cc or under 1000 cc. So it was kind of stupid that we had to make a special piston to run this event. And we had some piston failures, you know, the aluminum kind of broke on it. So the bikes didn't even do an hour or first shift, and you know, unfortunately I never got to ride LeMans France. So you know, I worked so much on the project, I thought it was a big part of my history that nobody knows about. So this particular tri-mill that I have is one of 12 that were built, and you know, I had a chance to buy it from actually one of the guys that I worked with, the guy that taught me a lot about making jigs and fixtures and welding and how welding goes. He was, you know, a fabricator kind of guy. John Hansen, I think his name is, put this bike back together, so I kind of have a little bit of my history. I recaptured a little bit of my history that I know about, you know. You know, we just needed more development. I think it was a quick build the bikes, get them made, ship them over, let's go, you know. We didn't have a big development budget, but never got to ride it at Le Mans.